Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome everyone into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Everyone, welcome into the program. I hope you're having a fantastic morning and hey, you are ready for the show today. So today on the program, we have the one, the only Mr. Ralph Bond, who'll be joining us here in just a moment. He is our science and technology trends correspondent. And of course, we like to go out every Friday with Ralph to, talk about some fun, interesting stories that you may not have heard of, because this week has been chock full of news. We know, trust me, we've been covering it, but ladies and gentlemen, these are stories that we have not talked about on the show before, and they include everything from, kind of green energy recycling into robotics, into space and science, medical technology. Ralph has, kind of an overview of what he does, but ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a lot of fun, especially story number 4. I always got to tease the last one, incurable space cancer. So yeah, just to tell you what it, trust me, it's uplifting to an extent. So with that being said, everyone, welcome into the program. I hope that you're doing well. Computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything, including past shows, future show notes, articles, reviews, podcast, everything that we do here on the program. You can find that there. Now, with that being said, let's, why don't we go ahead and just jump right into this. Ralph is waiting oh so patiently in the wings, and let's go ahead and bring him on. So as I said before, longtime Computer America contributor, and of course, he is our science and technology trends correspondent, which, has him chasing down so many different fields that, we could narrow it a bit, but I don't think he wants to, because this, that's the fun part. There's so much to learn about and so much to cover, and every Friday he comes on with 4 different stories. So Ralph, welcome back onto the program. How you been?
Hey. I'm great, Ben. I'll tell you, you did a great job of setting the stage. I'll just amplify a little bit. What I do is I look for stories that give us a glimpse. That's the trends part of it, right? Into where we're headed in robotics, medical technology, sustainable energy technology, transportation advances, space research, physics, you name it. Some of the things are here with us today. Some of the things may be 10 or more years out in the future, but that's what we do every Friday. And by the way, folks, what we do, Ben and I, every Friday is leave you feeling better. There's plenty of news services and plenty of things out there that'll make you feel terrible. But that's not what we do on every Friday, right? No. So, and by the way, before I forget, be sure to come out to computeramerica.com, get the show notes for today's episode here, because we have links and some of the text from the script here. But if you want to dive deeper into any story we do today, it's all there in the show notes. And then, of course, at computeramerica.com, as Ben is showing you here on the screen, we have an archive of past shows as well. So it's a great resource.
Yep. Yeah, of course, Ralph's site has all of his segments in one convenient place where you can find the video and the show notes and all that kind of thing. So if you want to find that there, go ahead and go for it. And of course, on our site, we'll have the show notes posted by the time you are hearing this. So with that being said, Ralph, I think we go ahead and start with story number 1. And, it's one, like, polluting is something that humans are incredibly good at. Cleaning it up is very labor intensive. I think everyone's seen those videos of people going out with trash bags. There are initiatives to go out there and clean up your community. There was just one here in my area recently that was very successful, but it's very labor intensive to pick up debris. Which gives me hope for stories like story number 1, because man, does it solve the problem, and you don't even have to get up and do it. Well, that's it. You should get up and do something. You should, take care of your local environment. But story number 1 is still very, very cool.
Yes, it is. And in fact, a little tease for story number 1. What if you had a Roomba for your local pond, lake, river, body of water, and so forth? That's what this is all about. So the headline here is New Electric Watercraft Robot Captures Plastic and Debris in Rivers and Lakes. This comes from Electric. Yeah, it is cool. And it's a cool looking little thing. Comes from electric.com, a story by John Peterson. or Peter Johnson, I'm sorry. And there's a video. We can check that out as well in the show notes. So there's an outfit in Rotterdam in the Netherlands called RAN Marine. That's RANMARINE, run together, RAN Marine Technology. They've developed a sleek, low-profile aquatic robot they call the Waste Shark that features a large opening or mouth at one end. And again, if you're seeing our show today, you can see pictures of the videos and so forth, get an idea of what this thing looks like. And it looks like, to me, it looks like a catamaran boat without a sail. And it's designed to capture floating plastic or other waste in waterways. And this is really meant for freshwater situations. And it's not very large. It's 5 feet, 3.5 inches by 1 foot. Or pardon me, that's not right. Not 1 foot 7 inches. Anyway, I got the dimensions a little bit wrong. There's got to be bigger than that. The new Waste Shark can navigate autonomously for 3 miles, collecting more than 1,100 pounds of plastic and other waste using its open mouth to trap debris floating on the surface. And here's a little qualifier. That 1,100 pounds is an estimate of the total that could be captured over the period of its runtime and with periodic emptying of its catch baskets. So that's another thing you need to keep in mind. They're not saying it could do 1,100 pounds all in one pass.
Right.
So according to the Reuters news service, the plastic-eating shark is now devouring waste in the River Thames in London, of course, removing the equivalent of more than 22,700 plastic bottles daily. Of course, it's sort of horrifying to think there's that much going on in the river there in London, but that's the case. And it's powered by 2 electric thrusters and controlled via a wireless 4G communications. The Waste Shark robot can cruise on a single charge for up to 6 hours in autonomous mode or 8 hours with manual remote control. So you have the option to, again, let it just do its thing like a Roomba, right? It would scan the situation in Waterway that it's working in and do its thing, or you can take over with a remote control, your choice. Now, a normal full recharge period for this little craft is 5 hours, but you can get 80% capacity, usually achieved in 2.5 hours. So you could deploy these things pretty quickly with an 80% charge. So in addition to cleaning plastic, it can also collect natural materials such as algae, duckweed, and other aquatic plants, because, friends, that's a big problem in a lot of waterways. I live in the Portland, Oregon area, actually technically in a town called Hillsboro, where Intel is, huge Intel facilities here. Just about maybe I could walk to this one place where there's sort of a natural swamp, I'll call it, right? And it's so clogged up with debris and so forth, but that inhibits the ability of the water to be channeled to where it needs to go. So something like this could be out there getting the duckweed and the algae and all that kind of stuff. So it isn't just plastic bottles or other kind of waste of that human waste. It's also anything natural floating. Waste. Yeah. Anything floating. There you go. But wait, there's more. It can also collect water quality data as it does its job, which is kind of a neat thing to give additional thing in terms of adding to cleaning things up. It can also give people who have to monitor water quality in our natural lakes and rivers and streams and so forth, give them additional information. So examples of what this little guy can also measure include oxygen, nitrogen, turbidity, I love that word, turbidity, and temperature, along with pH levels and nutrient levels in the water. And as the video briefly flashed by and showed the purchase, you can buy one of these things for $24,600 outright, or you can lease one for about $1,200 per month. And before I forget, Ben, we mentioned at the very beginning, this is from a company in the Netherlands, aka Holland. And you might remember, I think it was, sometime last year, I've forgotten when it was, but remember the story we did about how the folks in Holland had come up with this idea of running these tubes under the river and percolating bubbles, and the bubbles would force all the debris, and then it would be forced and moved into a collection, a stationary collection site on the river in different periodic locations. So these guys in Holland, they're on top of this idea of cleaning up freshwater waterways and lakes and things like that.
For everyone who doesn't remember that story, that was really cool, because you had these, kind of these outflows, these canals and rivers that instead of trash being trapped, or carried along through the bottom of the canal, you could use the bubbles, push up to the top, catch the trash before it gets to the ocean, and fish and wildlife and everything else would just go through the bubbles. So it was a very cool idea. Yeah.
Very cool. Really, really fun. But this is another example of our friends in Holland getting it together and showing us a way to work this out. And I think this could be for so many, you think about how many city parks and so forth have these small bodies of water, or, golf courses with large bodies of water, whatever. I mean, this could have commercial application, public application for parks and so forth. And in our town here in Hillsborough, we've got a lot of these creeks and streams and repositories of water where this could be very useful.
Well, yeah, and I kind of think about, obviously they took it to the River Thames. That's like taking, I don't know, a very, very new person just being like, all right, janitor, first day on the job, your job is to clean the Empire State Building. Good luck with that. And it's the River Thames is notoriously filthy. It's a big problem. They're working on it, and the fact that they're able to collect so much trash so quickly is very, very impressive. And totally autonomously. Ralph, I kind of think about these I don't know if you've seen, I'm from Florida, so there's a lot of subdivisions, and they have these, they're built around these artificial little ponds and whatnot.
Yes.
Ralph, I kind of think about these and maybe being able to deploy them in places that are man-made, but have no natural way of kind of getting rid of waste, or it's kind of trapped. Once it's there, it's trapped there. Being able to put this out there would maybe clean up some of the more man-made artificial waterways that we have. Be pretty cool.
And
as well.
By the way, Ben, and by the way, I stress the fresh water, which of course is true. You wouldn't put this thing out in the ocean with heavy wave action and so forth. That doesn't make sense. But come to think of it, it certainly could be used in harbors where there's breakwaters and so forth, then you don't have the kind of wave action and so on. So this could be used in harbors as well, which also are notorious for collection of waste and so forth. So very cool little device.
And also to and just to correct your in the show notes, you have the 5 foot by 3.5 inches by 1 foot. I think you actually meant to write 3.5 feet, not 3.5 inches. So it's like 5 feet long by 3.5 feet wide by about 1.5 feet tall. So just to give everyone a better idea of the
and if you want to correct the show notes before we post them, that would be great.
Absolutely, we'll do that.
Thanks so much.
So yeah, it's not very big, but it is very autonomous, and fun little things like this are going to be very useful. And because Ralph, it's available for sale. I mean, not saying there's anything wrong with it, but not a lot of stuff that we kind of talk about here on the show is like available today and doing stuff today.
Right.
But this one is, and anyone can lease it, anyone can buy it. It's very, very cool that that this is good to go. So that's story number 1. Story number 2, and ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think about this when you're enjoying a salad, when you're cutting your grass, when you're doing any of your day-to-day things. It's this one is a little creepy, but it's interesting. It's new. It's different.
It's definitely creepy. When I told my wife about this story, she's an avid home gardener, going out there with the clippers, pruning things all the time. She just grimaced, and you're maybe thinking, what are you guys talking about? Well, here's the headline. Scientists have discovered that plants have voices. Got this from Popular Mechanics. There's a story by Jackie Appel. So a new study has shown that plants, even though they're silent to us, actually produce a lot of noise. This is creepy but fascinating all at the same time. Using highly sensitive audio capturing equipment and artificial intelligence analysis programs, researchers at Tel Aviv University report they've discovered that plants issue sounds that seem to correlate to when they're thirsty, hurt, or doing well. The hurt part's really creepy. Human ears are geared to pick up sounds with frequencies up to about 16 kilohertz, but the sounds that plants produce are up in the 40 to 80 kilohertz range, and that's in the good old dog whistle territory, right? Yeah. To determine if plants make sounds, if they have any meaning, the researchers gathered plants, and in this case, they did tomato and tobacco plants. I don't know why they picked tobacco. That's kind of interesting. They picked these tomato and tobacco plants in various different states of distress. Some were dehydrated. Some had their stems cut, and I would presume very freshly cut. And some were totally healthy. Then they placed those plants into an acoustic box with ultrasonic microphones and isolated them from as much ambient sound as possible. Over time, the microphones picked up a series of ultrasonic noises that sounded like popcorn popping, pop, 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 coming from each plant. And the plants that were totally healthy, the ones that were healthy, released sound less than once an hour. But the plants that were stressed from dehydration or injury issued the popcorn popping sounds dozens of times in that same time span. So, it's just bizarre and freaky. Now, when I mow the lawn, I feel guilty. My wife now feels guilty when she's clipping the plants. Are they screaming in terror? I've often thought, how many people would, corollary here or parallel, how many people would do fishing if fish screamed as you pulled them out of the water? Right? I mean, so it's kind of a weird, but fascinating. And why would somebody think, let's figure this out if these things are making sound?
Well, there's a lot of implication for it. I mean, the first one is, how to make growing easier, better, and I guess more efficient. Because Ralph, imagine if you set up little, little sound booths or little microphones, and you could kind of pick up that the plants are healthy, they're happy, they're not really making all that much noise.
Good point.
And then you set up exactly, and then you set up a microphone. And by the way, I thought you just said good boy, like you're like patting the plants, like good boy plant, like no. But and then you set up a microphone, and it's like there's a lot of action, there's a lot of noise. Either there's a parasite in them, or there's they're thirsty, something like that, and be able to more accurately, Ralph, I'm kind of thinking in my head, hydroponics, in a closed indoor, very controlled setting, and being able to grow plants much more effectively. There's a lot of fun, a lot of fun implications. But like, I always knew this, Ralph, because here's Ben's little fun fact for the day about plants.
Okay.
Do you know fresh cut grass smell? Like, someone just mowed their lawn and you get that smell. That's from what I know, and anyone likes to email me that this is not the truth, but here's mine, is that that's actually a chemical that plants release, saying that we're under attack. There's a parasite or there's something predating on the grass, and the grass sends out this hormone that tells other grass to kind of store nutrients in their roots and kind of really bulk up because something is hurting us. Plants do talk to each other, and we've known that for quite a while. I just never knew they made sound. That's a completely new one to me.
Yeah. That's the thing that made this story just jump off the page for me, and I just had to share it. Like I say, folks, it changes the whole dynamic of mowing your lawn. But now, of course, here's the question: they may make sounds. Are they in pain? And that pain would require a nervous system and other things of this nature. So I think that's probably not the case, but the fact that they make sounds is interesting, and maybe they're making sounds that kind of sort of communicate with their fellows. I don't know. What?
Because we've known they have through hormones, and we have known that they do that kind of through the root system, and they'll kind of let each other know. But through sounds, that's completely new. And by the way, this is technology related, because it wasn't one of Ralph's keynotes, which again, he does a very good job of distilling it down to the basics. If you want to find out more, go to the article. But all this was done through artificial intelligence. It wasn't just people sitting in front of a screen kind of reading the little lines and being like, okay, I guess that's pain. I guess it was AI that was able to really determine what these sounds meant. So
it's the analysis of the sounds. Exactly.
Artificial intelligence coming in helping research in new ways. So
hey, you know what? I'm going to segue just for a second. I've been thinking about how, and last year we talked about the 75th anniversary of the transistor and so forth. I think artificial intelligence will be, to this century, the biggest breakthrough that transistors were to the last century. If you think about what is the one technology that's just blown the lid off of advancement, transistors in the last century, I think AI in this one. If I had to pick, I don't disagree. That's a great prediction, and
I think that AI is going to have a lot of implications across all fields, not just a few fields,
yes,
all fields.
Everything.
Ralph, I'm hesitant to agree with you though, because especially with AI, there's going to be so many advancements that, we thought before would take 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. AI is going to speed all that up. And while AI may be the tool, just like CRISPR might be the tool that solves a lot of human ailments that we thought were incurable, AI might provide the tools that we need to do something even more impressive. So I don't disagree. I just, think that maybe there might be something even cooler around the bend. So
could be.
That's what I would say on that. But you're absolutely right. Story number 2 was a lot of fun. And again, it is technology related. Story number 3. Let's go ahead and skip on over to this one. And this one may seem, again, another example of where artificial intelligence is starting to imitate real intelligence. And for a human, Ralph, there's a reason why artificial intelligence is doing so much cool stuff, but still the thing that we all walk around between our ears, our brain, is still so much more powerful, is because what we find very intuitive, a baby can do it, anyone can do it. Robots are just now getting, pun intended, a grasp on it. And story number 3 really highlights that.
Yes, it does. The headline here is New Robotic Hand Can Identify Objects with Just One Grasp. And you'll see in a moment why. Well, one grasp, so what? No, there's a big so what here. Comes, of course, from good old MIT, story by Adam Zewe on their website. Wonderful website, of course. Got a couple of great illustrations here for you. So the Massachusetts Institute of Technology researchers have developed a robotic hand that uses high-resolution touch sensing to accurately identify an object after grasping it just one time. So let's set the stage for why that's significant. Many robotic hands today pack all their powerful sensors into the fingertips. So an object must be in full contact with those fingertips to be identified, which can take multiple grasps. Other robotic hand designs to date use lower resolution sensors spread along the entire finger, but these don't capture as much detail, so multiple regrasps are often required. So instead of these approaches, the MIT team built a robotic finger with a rigid skeleton encased in a soft outer layer that has multiple high-resolution sensors incorporated under its transparent skin. Wait a minute, a rigid skeleton encased with a soft outer layer. Doesn't that sound familiar? The sensors, which use a camera, this is the part that's kind of curious too. The sensors, which use a camera and LEDs to gather visual information about an object's shape, provide continuous sensing along the finger's entire length. Each finger captures rich data on many parts of an object simultaneously, which, to your point, Ben, is just like we do in nature. It's just, we of course don't even have to think about it, right?
Right.
Using this design, the researchers built a 3-fingered robotic hand that could identify objects after only one grasp, or that's a hard word to say this early in the morning, with about 85% accuracy. So one grasp with 85% accuracy, that's pretty darn good. And the rigid skeleton makes the fingers strong enough to pick up a heavy item, such as a drill, while the soft skin enables them to securely grasp a pliable item like an empty plastic water bottle without crushing it. So it has the ability to, say this much pressure is required and no more, or I need to really grasp hard for that heavy drill. It's just a really great big advancement in humanoid-like robotics. Pretty cool stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's, again, something that we do very intuitively. And Ralph, that's kind of what we need to start moving towards, and we are, is that, the more that we can make robots like ourselves in the way that they interact with the world, the more that we can, replace, either tasks or duties and give them to robots. So, this example, picking up a tool and knowing right away that this is a wrench, this is a drill, this is a, whatever it may be, being able to intuitively tell that to the robot, hey, that's going to make a lot of sense. So very, very cool. And hey, it's MIT. They always do amazing things. They have if anything, their robotics department is only rivaled by their PR department. It's very cool to see.
They are very good at promoting. And by the way, just segue again. Last year we talked about my wife and I going to Boston, going to MIT, and the fabulous brand new, beautiful museum they have there, folks. I can't encourage you enough to go and see it if you're in the Boston area. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. So there you go. Story number 3. Story number 4. Let's go ahead. And as we teased earlier in the show, incurable space cancer. But hey, maybe not forever. So story number 4.
Yeah. Good headline here. It's a great tease headline. You'll explain what's going on here. So astronauts will grow cultures of an incurable cancer in space to help unlock its secrets. This comes from braintumorresearch.org. Wow, talk about a site that's very focused, right? braintumorresearch.org. Great website, by the way, and I just got onto them this past week. So researchers from the Institute of Cancer Research in the United Kingdom recently announced plans to send a form of cancer that causes incurable tumors to the International Space Station. Now, the launch is expected to take place in 2025, so it's not today or tomorrow, it's a few years out, and experiments will be conducted by astronauts on board with samples expected to be returned to Earth about 6 months later. And the cancer that we're talking about is called diffuse midline glioma. And diffuse midline gliomas are primarily central nervous system tumors, and this means they begin in the brain or spinal cord. And diffuse midline glioma primarily affect children. That's tragic, but can also occasionally be found in adults as well. And the scientists want to see how this deadly cancer spreads in microgravity, which could help pave the way to understanding more about the mechanics of this deadly tumor. And the goal behind the experiments on the International Space Station is to improve the understanding of how diffuse midline glioma cancer cells interact with each other within a three-dimensional structure or structures, and hopefully lead to new ideas for disrupting the tumor growth. That's the idea. How can we figure out new ways to thwart it, to disrupt it? And researchers believe that the microgravity conditions will allow their 3D cultures to grow to much larger sizes than possible on Earth, allowing much larger, extensive models in which to study how the cancer cells interact. So, and this is a good example, Ben, of how we like to leave the audience on a really upbeat note at the end of our segment. And also, I typically, whenever it makes sense, I like to end the show or end the segment with an upbeat medical technology thing to give us hope for the future in our world of medicine.
Yeah, and it couldn't be better because it's, of course, utilizing high technology, sending it to space and doing research on the International Space Station. It's this one's very, very cool. And hey, if who knew that doing research in space could have implications for you and me and everyone else out there on Earth by finding cure for these things. So very, very nice. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find out more about any of these stories, highly encourage you to check out the show notes because Ralph again did a great job of distilling them. But trust me, there's a lot more. And hey, if you enjoyed this, check out some of our past segments. If you missed any of them, they're still relevant today as they were the day that we recorded them. A lot of it is research, a lot of it is new and cutting edge. So don't be afraid to go back and check out some of the old episodes. Now, with that being said, Ralph, thank you so much for joining us here on the program. Everyone else out there, thank you for tuning in to the program. We hope you have a fantastic weekend. Do something fun. Catch you here next time. And don't leak documents, says the Pentagon. Everyone have a good one. Bye, everyone.